hangs over the referees.
Right. They run.
They run out and go in, and the police go, kind of felt like that.
Is it time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're on, I think.
Okay.
Is that turned on up there? Underneath. Yeah. Off or up? It's on. The lights are on. Okay.
Lights are on.
I do like that.
All right. We'll call this regular scheduled session of fiscal court into order. This 10th day of August 2021, and we'll start out with an invocation by Magistrate Jamey Gay.
Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and this opportunity to gather in freedom. Please be with those that are sick and battling with COVID and other illnesses. Father, be with those that are on the front lines, both as healthcare professionals and standing watch around the world in our armed forces. Father, be with this court as it makes the decisions that affect this community. Be with all of our citizens. And Father, we just pray that we always be mindful of the greatest commandment, to love you with all of our heart, mind, and soul, and our neighbors as ourselves. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. All right, if everybody will stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First on our agenda is to approve the prior meeting minutes, and I'd like to say I really appreciate the staff's extra effort to tighten things up with regard to these binders. I think it's a great improvement.
Amen.
Thank you. On schedule. Wonderful on track. Did a good job.
So moved.
We have motion to approve the minutes, the prior meeting minutes, made by, who made the motion? Top Master Ellis. Is there a second?
Second it.
Seconded by Magistrate Short. Discussion, comments, changes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you for approving that. Next, we'll move on to approval of bills, and Miss Mariah will make that presentation. Mike, is she out there?
She is.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so our total for standing orders is $359,610.25. And our total for bills to be paid is $2,279,789.18.
I'll make the motion to pay the bills, and then I do have a question.
Okay, there's a motion to pay the bills as presented. Is there a second? Made by Magistrate Gay.
I'll second it.
Second by Magistrate Short. Okay, questions?
We are current now. Does this catch us up with all of our
Yes,
bills that need to be paid?
yes, we had 5 invoices that were delinquent, and they're all in to be paid.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next. Jackie, budget and then cash transfers.
There are no budget or cash transfers this time.
Okay. We'll move to consent calendar. And I looks like I'm up first. I sent, I think there was an email went out. I recommended a reappointment of Mike Lay to the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustments. Are there any other recommendations?
Make a motion approving.
Motion made by Magistrate Sammons to approve Mike Lay, seconded by Magistrate Gay. Comments, questions, discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. There is a proclamation in your folder in honor of Miss Anne Sleet. You see it before you, and there's a, if we approve this proclamation as written, that will go forward in short order. And so I would entertain a motion to approve the proclamation in honor of Miss Anne Ross Sleet.
Third.
Second and third. This is a motion made by Magistrate, seconded by Magistrate Sammons, and third by Magistrate Gay. So,
Enthusiastically thirded.
yeah. Is there any questions, comments, or discussions?
Are we gonna sign this, or?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
sign
pass
this
around
one, not the
that.
one with the holes in it.
You probably wanna talk about the birthday party, or?
I'd just like to comment that I've had the privilege to get to know Mayor Sleet, retired, for a number of years now. I've visited her in her home. I've been in her meetings when she was still in office. She's an extraordinary lady, and I guess I can say this, she's celebrating her 90th birthday this month.
Good deal. Anybody else?
She's just been a wonderful lady and interested in the community and everything that she does. She's just been a great person.
All countywide.
Yeah.
I've known Ann for many years and knew her husband, and he was a wonderful cook. He'd take a ham down once or twice a year, and he'd make a ham for you. Cook that country ham, man. He'd charge you about $10, and he'd sign him up right. They're wonderful people.
They sure are.
I think her service to Perryville speaks for itself. She did a lot of great things, and she was very accessible from anybody throughout the county to help improve both Perryville and the county as they went forward in their working service to our governments.
I think one of the most extraordinary things that she allowed was the petition that went out about the fracking material pipeline through Boyle County, and they unanimously voted against that because it's literally within a mile of their meeting house. There's a city council meeting room, and that was very critical to protecting this county and states from Lake Erie all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And she was the first one to bring that forward to the city council about 5 years ago.
While we're circulating the signature on this proclamation for everybody, pass that on down if you would, please. We'll move on to the planning zoning map amendment, and Mr. Steve Hunter has the podium.
Yeah. First, before I start, I'll just mention.
Did we vote on the amendment,
No, we
on
did
the
not.
motion?
No.
No, we
All
did
right,
not.
so we need to vote on the motion. Excuse me, Steve.
No problem.
Is there any other comments or discussions on the motion to approve the proclamation? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously for the proclamation.
I'm carrying that day down.
Yes, sir, Steve.
I'll just start with, make a comment about Mayor Sleet. I think you all know she does serve on the Planning Commission right now as Perryville's representative, so she comes to our meetings every month and is a member of the P&Z board. Real quick, too, I appreciate you reappointing Mike Lay to the BOA. You do still have one more vacancy on there to address, and
Okay.
we do not have a Board of Adjustments meeting this month, interesting enough, but we have a case filed already for September. So
Okay.
third Tuesday in September, the board will meet again. So with that, you guys got a zone change recommendation here in front of you. Again, I think as I've said in the past, you don't see a lot of zone change recommendations. But Planning Commission met on July 28th, and we had a kind of a record day. We had 17 items on that agenda, and this was one of those items, was a zone change request that's currently in Boyle County's jurisdiction. And I'll just walk you through it real quick and then answer any questions you might have. This was one application, and the applicants are Fowler Dunn Developers LLC, Nick Dunn being the kind of principal of that we've been working with. He owns property right across the street from here. The property owner is Thomas and Doris McGurr. The McGurr farm that's situated right in there between Park Hills and Castle Rock, right there on kind of the old Houstonville Road, is the farm, 24 acres and some change. The McGurrs aren't really involved in the development other than it's under land contract pending the zone change approval, and at that point, if it's successful, the developer would take over and build a 66 unit or lot subdivision. Again, property's 3488 Old Houstonville Road's 24.410 acres. Part of doing the zone change request, the planning commission's got to look at the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. The future land use map had to be amended as a precursor to the zone change request, so there was actually 2 applications. You guys don't look at future land use map requests, that just stays with the planning commission. There was a public hearing to amend the future land use map from agriculture to low density, which lets you develop up to 5 units an acre. So that was successful. There was no opposition in the room. The future land use map passed 8-0. Then the zone change kind of flows right behind it, and the zone change gets in the particulars of the development plan, and specifically what's outlined on page 7 of the staff report are the developer puts conditions forward that basically outlines what he's going to do on the property. So at the bottom of page 7 you can see 8 conditions that were proposed by the developer, and there was a number 9 added at your county, at Dwayne Campbell's recommendation, that deals with a future traffic study need. So there was a new number 9, and I've got that worded here. I can read to you guys specifically. And then page 8 kind of outlines that concept plan. Yes, sir.
Before we leave page 7, number 7 on page 7, does that mean no mobile, not mobile homes, but the
Yeah, there won't.
constructed homes?
No, there won't be anything like that.
Prefab homes?
No, there won't be anything like
Good,
that.
good.
Doesn't mean that, but that's not what will happen. The zoning district he's proposed doesn't allow it.
Thank you.
They're zoning from the agriculture district to the R1B, or single-family mid-sized lot. They're going to do larger lots, but the R1B gives them more flexibility in side setbacks and lot width. Those R1 districts do not allow manufactured homes in those districts.
Thank you.
That number 7 is the material standard that he put forward just to guarantee there'd be a percentage of brick and some kind of foundations other than just plain face block or split face block. So those are the conditions the developer put forward. They got wordsmithed slightly on the floor, and then there was, again, a new number 9 was added, and I'll read that to you. And we ran this by Dwayne to make sure he was okay with it. And it says platting of phase 2 or otherwise platting of 50 lots shall entitle the controlling jurisdiction's engineer or staff to require submission of a traffic study. So you can see there on the concept plan on page 8 that the first phase is just 23 lots, which wouldn't dictate a need for a traffic study, but the proposals for 66 on that concept plan and 68 in the conditions to give a little wiggle room. 50 lots is kind of our cutoff when you potentially might need a traffic study. Dwayne and I have talked. We've talked with the developer. Not sure what a traffic study would shake out or require us to do, but it just gives the opportunity that if Dwayne wants to ask for a traffic study prior to phase 2, he can do that as the project's moving forward. But the first phase would be 23 lots, as you can see on that conceptual plan, at the north side of the property, it'd be the west side of the property right there. Again, the Planning Commission had a public hearing, no opposition was present, and voted 8-0 to forward a recommendation to the fiscal court to approve the zone change request.
Make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it. There's a motion on the floor to approve this project, made by Magistrate Salmon and seconded by Magistrate Short. Discussions, comments, questions?
We need the housing.
Okay, there being none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the project, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
You guys do need to pass it by ordinance, formal. I guess typically what we do is I give you a summary, and this is kind of the consent, up or down, that you concur with the Planning Commission, or if you were one to overturn, you could. But at that point, there has to be a formal ordinance. And Chris, I think we did one once before, and I could shoot you that last one that I think you sent me after it was done. You guys haven't done a lot of zone change. I think the last one we did was Tanner Goods out on Lexington Avenue, and we zoned that from ag to office.
Yeah.
But there have to be a
Number
formal
9.
ordinance.
'Cause I didn't think we had, on that one, we let the time lapse.
You might let the time run out. That is.
Then we didn't have to.
That's exactly right. You guys can let the 90 days run out, and then therefore you don't have to do an ordinance. But at the same time, the developer, wants to know that
Let's
this
say
is.
that would delay the developer.
Maybe not delay, but his contract's contingent on knowing this was approved. So we either wait to 91 days or you guys take action and he knows it's approved and he can execute his
I think we
contract.
probably should take action with
Either way.
the ordinance moving along. But
Chris
we'll
is
need,
right.
we'll need the updated number 9 information.
And I
Right.
get that exactly too. I'll email Chris the last ordinance draft we did, and I'll send you those new conditions.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Slide out.
And Steve, CC her, please.
Please.
I will on everything. Yeah,
Thank you.
and you too.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, county treasurer description, that is in your binder, for markup or recommendations as a base template to consider, the advertisement for to cast a wide net for a, county treasurer. And, so, have y'all had a chance to look at that, comfortably enough? And
Judge, I have several recommendations, and I'm afraid if we could bog down, I'd like to get with Julie, and I don't know that a delay for 2 weeks matters, or does it?
well,
I'd be happy to go through them. They're not that extensive.
I think you can, I think you can do it, one-on-one. And we just want to get the advertisement out and cast a wide net as possible to move forward, so we can make a decision on how we, how we do move forward with that regard. So just get with Miss Julie and make does anybody else have any recommendations or any changes and they want to make?
Is this something that should be run through the personnel committee?
It is. I think it would be valued to do that, John.
Do you
So,
agree, Mr. Chair?
I agree with you.
All right.
okay, so you have it before you. You can make changes, and then Tom, won't you submit those to the personnel committee, and Julie can sit in on that.
Yeah, if Julie will make copies for you then.
Julie? Okay? And I suppose you'll call a committee meeting in short order, and,
I will.
okay, great, thank you. All right, next. And once the committee gives us the recommendations on that, then we'll move forward with advertisement. Okay?
So we don't need to bring it back 2 weeks. That's good.
No,
Because we need to get it out. Yeah,
no.
thank you.
This is, the committee action, if it's okay with the court, will be with the linchpin to move forward with the advertisement based on what you all have read and seen and what they come up with.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, next. Our jailer, Brian Wofford. We only have one item on the agenda. The second item, the new contract with New Vista for mental health services is, I believe,
We're about to put it off till the
next court session.
Yes, we've had to change our joint jail meeting, so we need to run it through there and then bring it back to the next session.
Yeah.
So today, what we're working on is the UK grant, the HEAL initiative. Our county attorney requested that they make a couple changes in the contracts. They've made the MOU, the Memorandum of Agreement. So that has been changed, and what you have is the final draft. And I'm here to ask that you all would approve this for me to sign it. Basically, this is going to be our linkage. So they're going to provide a full-time staff member working at the detention center out of one of the closets in the front lobby. It's going to be their office. And they are going to, when people are released from custody, they're going to be able to meet with them. Of course, they'll meet with them prior, but as soon as they are released, if they want to go into treatment, they will take them straight into treatment.
So moved.
Second.
So I think
Okay.
this is a big asset, and everything that we purchase for them, the jail will get to keep. So we're going to purchase a computer, I think a desk and some chairs and stuff for them. But way that's going to work is I'll pay for that out of canteen. The UK grant will reimburse me, and the jail will get to keep all those.
Excellent program.
It is. I'm
I'm
very
looking
excited.
forward to it coming to.
And if anybody has any questions, Amy Longwell's over here in the corner, so she can help answer those. So.
Your canteen budget is sacrosanct in many ways. Is there a warehouse of some of our equipment around here? I'm not talking about the computer, I'm just talking about the desk and the chairs.
Not
de-accession the chairs
really.
in here. did we keep some of these chairs that we?
We did, well,
They'd want them,
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna pay for it, so it's, you know,
part of the grant.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
okay, we had a motion, excuse me, made by Magistrate Gay, by Ellis, and seconded by Magistrate Gay, okay. More discussion, any more discussion on approval of this, grant to allow Jailer Wofford to sign this agreement? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and I'll get this signed.
One question.
Yes, sir.
When's the next joint jail committee meeting?
18th,
18th, Mercer County, 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
And then I know in the past you all had asked me to kind of keep you all updated. My numbers are going back up. We're at 253. I have 2 positive cases of COVID. One of those is from the Louisville incident that I informed you all at the last meeting, and then we've had one come in. So as our numbers go up, it makes it difficult for me to quarantine correctly and keep everybody safe. Of course, we're working with Brent Blevins at the health department. They were just out last week and provided vaccines. So, you know, we provide them for staff, inmates if they want them. We try to get a head count so they know how many doses to bring. You know, if there's a citizen in the lobby that wants it, we'll let them have it as well. So, so as my numbers go up, it's going to make it hard to keep everybody safe. I haven't heard what we're facing, but I know there's several jails that we will not accept inmates from due to the COVID is rampant in their facilities. And I do not want to risk my staff or the inmates in introducing people from those facilities.
Is our staff all vaccinated?
The majority of them are. We hired some new, so we'll have Brent probably come back in a couple of weeks and make sure that any of our new folks that hasn't been can do that. We've never stopped wearing masks.
Okay,
we've never stopped our sanitation. You know, the way we go through and clean and spray. The only time, you know, if they come out in the lobby, they go out on their break. I don't require them to wear their mask because most of them go out to smoke or something. But if they're,
I would encourage them to not do that too, but.
right,
anyway.
yeah, and but if they are anywhere where the inmates are or in a group, we're still following the same protocols we were last year. So.
Okay, thank you.
For the record, it's important that the taxpayer know that in a case like the Louisville one, where it was misrepresented when they came in, it affected one of our officers. Thank goodness he is fine now and back to work. But of great importance is we're inheriting whatever health bills come with that individual. And that's why we're having to be very careful and cautious about inheriting those from other jails. I just think the public needs to know that your leadership is going to make sure that we don't inherit huge medical bills.
Yeah, that's you know, that's one of those things, you know, we've talked about before. You know, if they're a Boyle County inmate and they're stuck in another jail, you know, usually if it's let's say it's a Fayette County inmate and they're stuck with us for a couple of weeks, you know, we cover those bills and they would do the same. But there's some cases that the bills could be extremely high that, you know, it wouldn't surprise me that they don't come and say, hey, we've been housing this guy, but you all need to take care of this bill because he is we don't have charges on him. And that would probably be the right thing to do.
And I'd like to see us do that with the folks at Louisville who misrepresented this individual.
Yeah, they pretty much lied to us. So.
What percent of our employees out there are vaccinated, would you guess?
The majority of them. I couldn't give you a number. But like I say, we've offered it several times, and every time we have employees that say, yeah, I need to get it. And but I don't know off the top of my head.
Any reason that all of them aren't?
Well, that's their choice. You know, if some of them's chosen not to, I'm not going to, you know, force the issue, because if I require them to have it, we're going to have to shut the jail down because I'm not going to have enough staff to run the jail. So what's going to happen is we're going to close our jail down. We're going to ship all of our inmates out, and we're going to pay big to other counties to house our inmates. And also it's going to put a burden on the sheriff's department because he's going to be running and picking these folks up for court. And but we make sure, you know, everybody's washing their hands. Everyone is maintaining the 6-foot social distancing, and there's times we can't. We put plexiglass up, so when our staff is having to enter information into jail tracker stuff for the inmates. So we're doing everything we can.
One of the
Be safe.
important things to keep in mind from a workforce perspective is that the new guidance is that if you're vaccinated and you're a close contact with someone, you can continue to function with wearing a mask. And between day 3 and 5, if you receive a negative COVID test, then you're free to go back to normal activities.
Yes,
So
anytime.
I think it keeps the workforce in place, so I really hope we'll continue to strongly encourage the vaccination, because anytime somebody is unvaccinated and they're off work, then that adversely affects the jail as well, and the taxpayer is then paying that overtime and other issues also.
Right, and that's one of those things that, if they're in their office by themselves, I'm fine. If they're sitting in a
Sure.
work area by themselves, that's fine. But other than that, if they have to have their mask on. Of course, we're spraying. We have inmates that basically all they do is they go around and
That's great.
and clean. Doorknobs, door handles, desk, hard surfaces, any of those areas, and that's their job. So.
But definitely different standards though now for vaccinated versus unvaccinated as far as quarantine.
I'm down right now, probably, we've just hired 3, so I'm probably down 7 employees. And if I'm afraid if I mandate it, then the ones that, I'm not going to have enough to operate the jail. And it's hard enough to find people to work
Right.
at the
No,
detention center.
I understand, and that is an issue, and just this.
So it's
center,
one of
we're
those
struggling
things,
with.
I'm danged if I do, danged if I don't.
Right.
There's no
Yeah.
right answer.
Well, it's a hard decision, but it's just hard for me to understand why that an employee sees the effects of this when it hits, and why they can't have a simple shot. To me, it's sometimes just being hard-headed. But I'd be pretty strict on it if I was to go place, but let's make sure we get our shots.
Just because you got the shot don't mean you can't get COVID
Well,
again. I mean,
it won't go be as hard on
you gotta look at 2 different directions here. If you got somebody that's had the shot and gets COVID, guess what? He's gonna get quarantined.
Yeah.
And I had an
So-
issue of an employee who's been vaccinated that's wearing the mask that keeps getting sick, and he went to his doctor Friday, and the doctor told him it's due to the mask because he's breathing in, everything, and he's not getting fresh air, and that's causing him. And he's missed a couple days because he's basically had a sinus infection or flu-like symptoms from the mask. So what do? How do you?
Well, it's important that you keep your mask clean.
Yes.
First of all,
Well, he
and
wears
or wear a new
we
mask.
give them masks, so these are new masks.
Yeah. But that's pretty rare.
So-
pretty rare.
Yeah.
But that does, I guess it could happen, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah,
But-
and that's the
and the
first
most
I heard
important thing to remember about the mask is the mask protects you from the other person, not them from, or not you from me, if that makes
Right,
sense.
right.
Anyway, I don't want to keep belaboring that point, but I do think it's important that our jail personnel, because they're obviously in such close confines.
Yes.
And as you know, and I know you're doing all the right things to protect them, encouraging the vaccines and getting Brent out there as much as we can to provide those is great. It's important people know
Okay,
that.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Move
Brad.
right along.
All right, next, Mr. Mike Rogers, our EMS Director. No, we didn't because it,
Can you
not
drop
ready.
that door open? I don't think it's too loud out there, and I'd rather fresh air.
Turn that air down a little bit.
Tom, or Dwayne will get it. Dwayne is a
Morning.
Morning.
First thing on the agenda is consider the bids for the ambulance. And I'm gonna let Michael Magley, Michael's done most of the legwork here, so I'm gonna let him present those. I got some paperwork here, I'll pass out to you. So,
Me and the judge and Mike opened the bids about a week ago for the purchase of 2 ambulances. We accepted about, I think it was 7 or 8 different bids from 4 different manufacturers. We've narrowed it down to 2. We have one question that I just want to start off with right off the top. Let me get these passed down. And this will be for the county attorney. He probably knows more about it than anybody else. But on one of the trucks that we're wanting to purchase, they bid it without an ambulance power load system in the back, which if you're not familiar with it, it's what lifts the stretcher up. It's all automatic, everything like that. So what we had discussed in the EMS committee meeting was they bid that truck at the price without the power load. Are we able to adjust that bid price to add that power load in, or is that something that we need to purchase at a different date because we're still going to be under budget no matter what we do? Or purchase separately. Are we able to adjust that bid price? Because if you see on the first page here of the copy that you have, the very bottom one on the medics is listed at $206.35.25. If you see right under there where I have it marked out, that was our rough estimate for the cost of the power load, which I have the actual quote now. Yeah, the actual cost now is $25,795. So that would make that medics truck on the bottom there $225 if we added it to the bid. If not, if we purchased it separately, it would be about $25,000. We didn't know if we could adjust that bid price or if that's something that we're going to have to purchase separately.
When you advertised it, did you say
Yes.
you needed the?
Yes.
All
It
of
was, it was not listed as an exception on that bid. They bid it without that.
I think they just did a improper bid.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause it wouldn't be fair for them to come back because then they'd see these other ones by
Right.
this point, and then they're like, oh, I can.
That's why we were saying that's something we can purchase separately at a different time.
Looks like
Instead of
a
taking it out.
separate purchase comes in lower, right?
Yes.
That's odd.
If we purchase that separately, the price.
We're doing it directly from Strikers.
Yes.
Is the lower bid.
So if we purchase that power load system directly from Stryker and not included in the bid, the total bid price is going to amount for 2 ambulances is $413,735.
No installation cost.
Well, the problem is, and I think what the county attorney is saying is they have to be disqualified.
Right.
Because they did
That's
not,
why
they did not meet the specifications, the bid specifications.
Right.
And so they cannot be considered.
Yeah.
Is that an ordinance that we have, or is?
We can't. In my opinion, we would still consider it, we just have to add it. But if, I don't know.
Because then they're bidding,
So,
their package is
right,
not
but the
Not
bid-
apples to
They're
apples.
not bidding apples for apples.
So the
Yeah.
bid
Looks
did
like
not say that it must have a power load. It says the truck must accommodate a power load. So theoretically,
That's different.
That's different.
theoretically they're a good bid because they're bidding that they can accommodate the power load. They're not bidding that they have the power load.
Different story.
Then we have the data in front of us.
Yeah.
So we know what we're looking for.
Okay, yeah, if it's worded that way,
Yeah.
then I feel better about it.
How much is this power load again?
It'd be if we
127.
purchase directly from Stryker, it's like $25,795.
So it's less than.
Yeah.
It's going to still be cheaper, right?
Yes. If we purchase it separately, it'll be cheaper.
That's my recommendation, just go with the ambulance price on the 200, and then we'll add the power load.
Not related to that, but what, and I know it bothers everybody, the least days is 240, and on the other bid, the most days is 365. And
Correct.
And it's the 365 on the one that we're talking about the power there.
Yes. So the problem that we're running into with every manufacturer that I discussed this with is basically no matter who we go with, Chevy, Ford, Dodge, whoever, it's going to be looking at 10 months to a year to get anything delivered to us. I believe, I don't have that paperwork right, we got to right here. Let's see. I think on the Road Rescue, which is the one out of Campbellsville, they quoted 240 to 270, and then on the medics, they quoted 270 to 365.
I hate to throw this in, but on the news 2 nights ago, there are 50,000 trucks lined up in Louisville waiting for chips from China.
Yeah.
No chip issue here?
Well, according to the manufacturer, Ford's doing a little bit better about availability than Dodge. But again, they're considering all that with the
delivery.
And these are estimates.
Correct, yes. They're
These are estimates today.
Yes, correct.
So
Anything.
you've got, what we're going with, Ford or Dodge?
So
I mean,
the,
Chevrolet.
from what we spoke with the committee this morning, we are interested and recommend that we buy one Medics brand and one Road Rescue brand. So one ambulance that we'll be purchasing would be a Dodge chassis. The other ambulance we'll be purchasing will be a Ford chassis. That gives us the ability to get a truck here quicker. So if the Ford chassis can get here in 275 days and the Dodge can't get here till 365, that gets us a truck here quicker because if none of you know, we have 6 ambulances in our fleet right now. We have only 3 operating. So one of those goes down, we have 2 trucks for the whole county. And these aren't quick fixes. We got a truck down for an engine, we got a truck down for a transmission, we got a truck down for a fuel line. So it's not something that something happens, we can just go down to Bob Allen and pick it up. These are big repairs. So purchasing the Ford would get us a truck here faster to be able to get a newer truck on the road. And then purchasing that other Dodge would give us another look at another company because we're trying to move our fleet at the recommendation of our mechanics and everything. We're trying to move our fleet from the Ford or from the van chassis on the front. If you've seen our ambulances, we have the van on the front.
Passing around the what you gave me earlier.
Yes. So what he's passing around there is the box, which is a Medics box, but it's actually on a Ford chassis. But what we're trying to do is take our fleet from the van chassis style front to what is now called a Type 1 style front, which is the truck style front chassis. From talking to our mechanics and everything like that, they're having a hard time getting inside the engine compartment of these van chassis. They're so small. Obviously, you've seen them. It's not a very big truck. So
Which just means extra labor cost.
extra labor, and then there's a big difference in the judge's truck having 100,000 miles and an ambulance having 100,000 miles, because the judge drives back and forth to the courthouse and we make 20, 30 911 runs a day, and they're hard miles. So these transmissions is what we're seeing now also too, and these van chassis are not what we need in an ambulance. So that's why we're trying to make the switch to the truck chassis, which is why we recommended buying one of each. That way we can figure out which chassis is going to work best for us and for the county's needs.
We're getting some mixed feedback on a Ford
Hey,
or Dodge.
Mike, you gotta come to the mic.
We're getting some mixed feedback on it as far as a Ford or Dodge. We talked to Jamey at A&M Diesel, who's a very trusted. He works on our ambulance as far as the diesel side goes, and he says that the Dodge is a good truck, but the transmission has problems, and then the Ford, in his opinion, is the better option. But now I talked to some of my EMS friends around the state, and they say they have Fords and they have problems too. So it's like we kind of talked this morning. We're not really 100% sure on which one's going to be the better chassis, so we'll go with 2 and just see which one ends up going to work better for us, and then from then on we'll just stick with that one. So that's kind of the recommendation of ours, and I think the committee agreed with that. So,
Mike or Counselor, are our contracts being written last best offer? Because I've got a concept here I'd like to bring in. We do have the ability to negotiate with both, right? Many construction firms are taking performance contracts now. With this long window and the needs that we have, would it be feasible to put a 5% penalty after 365 days?
And see, that's actually how the old bid spec was written. It was like the old bid spec, I don't have it on me, but it was said that it's to be delivered in 150 days, post acceptance of the bid, and if not, it's like a $500 fine per month after.
I'd like to consider that if we don't drive away the bidders.
Well, I think the issue is that it's out of their control whether they can get the trucks or not. It's not like they're being slow putting them together.
I understand.
Which is where that would be. It's the actual chassis.
Weigh that against our needs too.
Well,
because
we've got, what we discussed this morning is, you see the price of these trucks, we're going to have to turn around next fiscal year and buy 2 more because we've skipped in the past.
Right.
we neglected the EMS in buying the trucks when we should have been buying them for various reasons, and so we're gonna have to back up and get more trucks, another.
And that's why I say I don't wanna jeopardize
Our
the
newest truck
relationship
has
with bidding.
120,000 miles on it. That's our newest truck.
But when I talked to both manufacturers yesterday, they can't guarantee that, period, and they feel like they're handcuffed.
You know, we're dealing in different times today than what there have been in the past. And there's another trend, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, your runs are going up.
Yeah.
And that's another part of this pieces of the puzzle that we have to put together. Another conversation, and this, I say this for all the members of the court, the measurement that we have been using is miles. And we realize today that maybe hours of the motor running is a better barometer as to performance. And so there's a way, we think that there's a way to measure the hours that the truck is actually running, and that will become a new standard to.
General can tell you that with airplanes, there's your hobs and your attack time. They're different, so.
Yeah.
Mike, looks like I'm just thinking about,
Yes, sir.
you're talking about comparing
Yes, sir.
the Ford to the Dodge and
Yes, sir.
the transmission.
Yes, sir.
Now, you've been around a long time.
Yes, sir.
You've had different vehicles. I would think that you would be able to compare these yourself pretty well, wouldn't you? On
Well,
which one lasts the longest and which one
Yeah, I mean, we've had.
performs the best?
Yes, sir.
Different chassis, though.
Yeah, every year it's a different chassis. So you know when a manufacturer goes to a brand new, back when Ford got rid of the 7.3 Power Stroke and they went to the 6.0 and the 6.7, there were some issues. So you know, I try to listen to the mechanics because they're a little more experienced at it than I am, and but I'm just getting feedback. You know, honestly, both are good trucks, and that's why we think we just buy one Dodge, one Ford, and that way, if they're in the shop, at least one's at Stuart Powell and one's at Bob Allen. That way, we're not overloading one shop. So I think there's some. We really have to think about when they break, where do they go? So because we can't take two trucks that need, if two trucks need two engines, and Bob Allen only has so many people.
Yeah.
So we try to spread it out among the manufacturers too that we've learned.
These are
lately.
four-wheel drive too.
Yeah.
So, those will be nice.
And on that issue of four-wheel drive, is either or other of these two more roadworthy in an ice storm like we had several months ago?
Nothing's roadworthy than ice.
Well, they're both going to be better than what we have now. What we have now is we put chains on, and we'll still have the ability to use the four-wheel drive with the chains, but four-wheel drive is going to give us a lot more versatility to be able to get back in a farm field, and because we do that a lot. We do that a
As
lot.
Dwayne will tell you, we had runs that we could not make in that ice storm for a week or more.
Well, EC5, which needs a new transmission, it went out on a run as they were backing up a hill.
Yeah.
And so.
Then we had another truck in Parable that had to be towed in because it broke down. So we're starting to.
We only have 3 trucks right now.
You get your transmissions hot when it's slick like that. That really damages them a whole lot.
Yeah.
That's the weakest link in all of these.
That's right. And another thing too, what about the communication between the cab and versus the, what we've got now?
Even from the driver and the.
Yes,
and the driver.
because right now, see, the person inside there can see the driver and they can communicate.
Yeah.
But what about the
We,
cab?
we've had the type ones like this before, and most of the ambulances, and these will too, they'll have a rear view mirror so you can see that, and then.
So they're gonna have an opening there?
Yeah,
between
you'll
the
be able
cab
to
and
see
the-
it.
It's
Yeah.
not completely cut off.
It's not completely cut
Okay.
off.
There is an opening.
Yeah, there is an opening. So we're pretty, when you're driving, you have to be very aware what what the patient caretaker in the back is doing because
yeah.
starting and stopping and things like that.
So getting back to the original question
Yes,
though, how do we go forward with this bid? Do we include the power?
I would think we just take the bid as it is, and we can do that later. I can get a Stryker bid.
Based on the delays we're seeing in the trucks, I also would talk with Stryker to make sure that there's not going to be any delays.
Yeah.
We don't want to get an ambulance and then realize we're going to be 6 months out without that power lift system.
Does one of the two have the Stryker system in it?
The Ford already has one.
The
that's
Ford
comes
does?
with
So
it.
the truck that'll actually get here the fastest will have the power lift already in it.
Okay.
So again, we're comfortable with the fact that the bid is an acceptable bid based on the criteria to accommodate the lift, and they met that standard.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, all it says is they must accommodate the structure, and they do accommodate the structure.
What we need.
So, well, give us the summary of your recommendation.
Okay, so,
And the committee can speak up on this.
I can just simply say
Yeah,
that,
go ahead.
you know, I'll make the motion that we go ahead and buy the Ford and the Dodge based on what was discussed in the committee earlier today.
Which company is
I'll
that?
second that.
Are these both the 170-inch versions?
Both of these that I
Yes.
gave you here.
So it would be the Medics, the one on the very bottom.
50 of
Right.
20 MSP, but both at 170. And then, the other one is, get Randy.
The one is from Road Rescue and one is from Medics?
Yes.
Correct,
Yeah,
yes.
those two.
Okay, okay.
So if you have that
So-
sheet that has all the bids on the front, so the Medics is the bottom truck, and it's listed, the bid price was at $206.35. And then on the Road Rescue, their bid price with the add-ons is $213,100.
Okay.
All right, so I'll make the motion. that
So that's
we go ahead and
$413,735.
Purchase from one vehicle from Road Rescue, one from Medics. Based on-
413,735.25.
Okay, we have a motion made by Magistrate Cohen, seconded by Magistrate Gay.
Second over here.
John, second.
John
As long as it gets
seconded,
seconded, we're not handing out awards today for second, so that's all right.
seconded by Magistrate Kaywood, which are both committee members. So, any further discussion on these awards?
No, I just want to thank EMS for, I mean, I know that Mike spent a lot of time really digging down into this. We've asked them to make sure we're finding trucks that will hopefully not break down as much and won't cost the taxpayer more dollars in repairs. And I think he and the rest of the staff did a good job, so.
I think we recognized this morning, there's a lot of variables in this that we don't
Yes,
know.
right.
So
Very
we're
much.
doing the best judgment we can.
Yeah, like they said, it was a moving target. We're just trying to figure out what the target is. So.
All right. All those in favor of approving the bids as stated, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is something that we're super excited. It's been a long time coming, but Jada, come on up here. It's to consider our hiring of our overdose outreach coordinator. We interviewed a lot of candidates for the position, and we narrowed it down to 3, and then we did second interviews. Shannon and Amy Longwell from Human Communities was along with me, was part of that hiring committee. And I want to let Jada introduce herself and let you get to know her a little bit. So.
Good morning. I'm Jada Nollander, and I'm a Kentucky native, but have lived in Knoxville for a very long time, and just moved back here about 4 months ago. But I've worked in outreach quite a bit. I've been a probation and parole officer for the state of Tennessee. I also worked in a prison there, and I've worked as an investigator for the Department of Children's Services. And so I did a lot of resource linkage through those things. And then when I moved here, I started working for DCBS, which is the Department of Children's Services here, as a specialized investigator. So I've done a lot of work with families. I've done a lot of work with linking people to resources, particularly drugs. It's a huge issue, both in Tennessee and here. My education is I have a bachelor's in psychology, and I have a master's in criminal justice.
Very good, very exciting.
Yeah, really.
To have
I
you
can't
on
wait to
board.
get
Very
started.
impressive resume here, so we appreciate that.
Take a moment and read the resume.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's
Yeah.
done a lot of great work.
And you came, I've got a friend who's a retired police officer from Knoxville. You came from a very difficult community.
It's right now they're struggling a lot still.
Yeah.
Only
Your
thing bothers
experience
me
has to be in depth.
What's that?
is the only thing that, looking at your resume, I hope that you stay with us a while. You moved around quite a bit.
I plan to be here. I just moved back to Kentucky. This is where all my family's from. And I plan to be here. This is where I want to be.
All right.
She bleeds blue, Bill. That
Uh,
helps.
I do indeed.
I do notice that you did volunteer with CASA down in Knoxville. We've got a great organization here, so I hope you can reach out to them if you have any spare time to help them out here as well.
Absolutely. I did CASA. I was a foster parent and I have 2 adopted children through foster care. So I did CASA prior to that.
And Phil, just on your comment, if you look at the things she's done, these are some hard years, so I don't blame her from kind of moving from one place to another. She's done a lot of very stressful things over that time, so thank you very much.
Amy, you want to say that?
Yeah, just real quick to the court,
Can you pull your mask down, sir?
sure.
Okay,
The
thank you.
Healing Community Study, through our work, we've currently have 19 strategies that are implemented right here in Boyle County. And through no coincidence, I forgot that the MOU for the jail linkage program was going to be approved today. So you've got 2 of our biggest investments being approved today. And I mean, the impact is substantial. But this is the one, quite honestly, that I'm most excited about. And I'll just kind of quote Mike real quick. And it was in Jada's interview. We'll be doing a lot of work with Fayette County. They have a model QRT program, and Jada's going to hit the round running, visiting them, learning what they do. But these 2 said real quick, well, we're not just going to do what they do. We're going to make it ours, and we're going to make it better. And I have no doubt that'll happen. This is really, really exciting and great for our community.
Oh, I agree 100%. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Because, Jada, you're going to be out there. The detention center is one place that we're making great strides, but you're going to be out there on a battle line with families of when we're responding and dealing and working with them. So it's all going to be good.
It's going to be better than good.
It's going to be better than good.
I'll make that motion that we go ahead and approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Kaywood to approve this. Okay, Mike.
So we would like it to be effective immediately, and annual pay is $62,000.
Okay, and that's by contract, and just
reimbursed through the grant.
right, reimbursed through the grant, and you also want to say that you have done your due diligence as regard to the programmatic hire, and everything is clear and green on that.
Is there longevity to that grant?
So
When ambulance came in 40 years ago, the federal government gave 10 years, and then all of a sudden it was a crisis. So is there longevity to that grant?
It's one of the things we're working on. I mean, I shared with the committee, I think the last time I was here, I mean, there's absolutely no guarantee. I mean, the funding could end
We need it.
June 30th.
I'm not.
No, but one of the things, there's already, it's one of the things I was going to talk to Mike about today. There's a new grant that's being released, and there's a training on it August 21st that specifically would apply to funding this program long term. And there's a substantial commitment from the university and the study that is addressing sustainability. We hope to do things. I'm going to be working closely with them to explore grant funding and do everything we can, because we know, I mean, we don't want this to be done.
I'm the old guy who saw it become a new tax on Blue Cross premiums, which nobody knew about.
Well, it's a problem, especially in rural communities, not just here, but across Kentucky. One of the 8 counties in the study is Floyd County, and there's a lot of resistance in Floyd County to work with major grants because of the history of people just coming in, doing what they're doing, and leaving. And that's a substantial part of our work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michael,
The Lexington Fire Department was able to sustain their program through grants, so
Good.
they're going to be a really big asset for us
when you said effective immediately, I'm guessing you mean today?
today. Yes.
Is that an amendment to your motion, Magistrate Cullen, be effective immediate today?
With the pay rate.
With the pay rate.
And the pay rate being what it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Welcome
Thank you
aboard.
all.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
As we are.
So the third thing on the agenda is to consider Estrella Godby. She's a part-time employee that's going to be to move to a full-time employee, and then we will be full staff. I think I misspoke at our last meeting that I said we were full staff, but she was filling a full-time spot, so we want to go ahead and move her from part-time to full-time. Yeah, we will go ahead and it will be effective immediately, and her pay rate will be $16 an hour.
That should, paramedic.
She's an EMT.
Go ahead.
Or EMT.
Full-time hire, 810 at 16 an hour. Right?
Yes, sir.
16 an hour for an EMT.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the motion was made by Magistrate Cohen, second by Magistrate Gay, is that correct? Just to further let the court know that according, and I'm sure this was presented in committee, that for the court's information, that his due diligence on background information has been complied with and is clean and green also. Okay?
May I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Mike, you have shared with us before that the staff was complete. Are you sure about, you want to make that statement again?
Knock on wood.
Yeah, it's a moving target as well, but I feel,
For today.
we're in a good spot now.
It's complete as of today.
Yeah, we're blessed to have the people we do.
It's a struggle, isn't it?
It is.
Well, you do a great job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The last thing, I don't know, Judge, if you
Well,
want
let's vote, let's
Oh,
vote.
sorry.
Let's vote. All those in favor of the motion before us, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now the next one.
The last thing, I don't know if you want to speak to this, Judge, but just an update on the emergency.
We did, you see the letter in your folder that I sent to each of you so you know what was done. We used the emergency section 430 under our administrative code to get the ball rolling on the truck repair that we lost an engine on. We got some quotes that are attached to this, and so this was a process that I felt after looking at it, some of my predecessors had done, to be able to get the safety and life responding effort in repair as quick as possible to move forward. So that's what this letter and this memo is about. Is there any questions on that? Okay.
We ordered, we gave the go-ahead last week. The engine came into Bob Allen on Saturday, and yesterday they moved it, so they're working on it. And a big thanks to Bob Allen and Jamey Atkins at A&M Diesel, who probably get tired of seeing me pull up and checking on ambulances, but both are doing really good to help us keep our fleet running. So I'd like to
Do
thank
you
those two.
have an estimated time on your rail issue on your fuel system?
It should be done today. He was finishing up yesterday afternoon, and but it should be done today.
Okay.
I'll check with him as soon as I leave here.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions of Director Rogers?
I have one.
Comments?
What percentage would you guess of your employees are vaccinated?
Yeah, I don't have an up-to-date number. I know when we worked with Brent Blevins to get the initial vaccines, it was around December 23rd when we got our first shots from the Moderna. We had we just sent out a flyer at Brent's request, and it was about 83% was vaccinated at that time. So since then, we have hired 9 new people. I'm not sure what their vaccination status is at this time, but when we were on 24/48, it was about 83%. But
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Well, you're in a very high risk situation. So
I guess on that note, how are you seeing increased number of runs related to
Yes.
COVID, or what's the
Mike
what's
could
the
probably
status?
speak to that a little bit better.
Really, since everything opened back up, there was a steep drop off to where my shift, we probably hadn't seen a COVID patient in 2 months. But now in the past month, even a couple shifts ago, we had 4 runs that had positive COVID patients. So that's not counting the ones that are positive and don't know they're positive. So now we're seeing that increase. Even Ephraim McDowell's seen an increase. We're making transfers out of there, and actually one member of my crew went there the other day, and they were actually blocking off that section of the hospital for COVID patients again. So they're seeing just as big as an influx as we are. And unfortunately, you know, we're the ones that bring them those patients, and we're seeing an increase, so obviously they're seeing it.
What percentage of those who are positive do you know on the front end versus
The
after
one,
the fact?
I can't speak for all of them, but the ones that I've become in contact with myself have been unvaccinated.
No, that's not my question.
Okay, well, go ahead.
You pick them up,
Yes.
you learn 2 days later from the hospital that they were,
Yes.
versus the ones you pick up and you know at that point that they're already active with the virus.
Yes. It's not a number that I know off the top of my head. Like I said, majority.
The protocol would be very critical on the
Yes.
air
Yeah.
within that cab.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is now that we have measures in place to where obviously all of our employees are still masked on these runs, and then obviously the decon that happens after any run, it should be taking care of the majority of that. So.
Are we strongly encouraging our people to be vaccinated? I know we're not mandating it, but
Yeah, oh, yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
being offered and given the
Yeah.
availability of
Yeah.
getting vaccinated and
Yes.
encouraged to do so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody, anything else? All right, thank you, Director.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you,
Appreciate
LT. All right, next, I believe, Ms. Muncy is not here today, and Julie, you're gonna,
I think she's on vacation.
I don't,
She's on vacation.
All right, before you, you have ordinance number 821, second reading, marked up copy with all the changes from the last meeting. Tom has reviewed and signed off on this.
I move that we adopt ordinance 821.0 for the second reading.
I'll second that.
we have a motion to adopt the second reading on 821.0, made by Magistrate Ellison, second by Magistrate Gay. Discussion?
Yeah, we had a lot going on the last time we talked about this, and kind of put it on the back burner, and I was actually hoping to ask Monty about this, but I'm a little disappointed on how she handled this ordinance and another ordinance. I think, some people will argue, but I'm not a stupid man, where she separated the grass ordinance with this ordinance, and to my understanding, it would have made sense where they would have been under one. But knowing how much she didn't want the grass ordinance, I can only tell or guess that she separated that on purpose, even though the magistrate asked to have it in there and then have it discussed. We could have taken it out, but she chose to go down a route of making a separate ordinance for the grass ordinance when it wasn't necessary. So I'm disappointed in how this started. I generally was one of the people that was really looking for a nuisance ordinance. We tried meeting together as a committee, and in there, that committee did not go very well because of actions of certain people. So the committee kind of stopped, and the court pushed it back to have the solid waste director and the planning and zoning director work together.
Which they did.
Which they did after I asked about it. So
We recommended her to do this.
I just a little disappointed on how things kind of went down with this. I think that was specifically split out so that way it could be voted out right away.
I can't go to why it
I'm
came out
asking
as
for
a
a comment.
separate.
She's not here. I was hoping she would be to get it from her, so you don't have to.
Can the committee say something about this?
Sure.
We recommended her to do it this way. Do it separate.
Did she bring it to you that way? Or did you guys just come out and say, no, let's...
She told us what was going to come up on the grass thing, and I said, well, let's recommend that we go ahead and vote on just the grass thing. Because really, it wasn't in the ordinance at that time anyway.
Yeah. Well, which is...
So that's the reason we did it that way.
That was one of the things on the list that the committee was supposed to talk about. It was one of the first things we talked about, and that's pretty much where
But
the
it still was
firestorm
not
went.
in the ordinance at that time.
I think the court voted and made its voice known on the grass, so.
Yeah, But it could have been voted, it could have been in this, or it could have been a
Probably
separate.
been adjusted here then,
Yeah,
because 4-2, the court voted down the grass issue.
and, you know, as a template going forward, those other counties that had the grass ordinance that was in a separate ordinance. And, you know, like up in Greenup County and others, so I don't know, maybe, I don't know, but the committee asked her to do it that way, is that correct?
The committee sounds to me like they recommended it. It sounds like our solid waste director may have approached it that way. I'm
Well,
just
then
saying.
that's hearsay. I mean, you don't know that because you was not there.
Well, I'm just saying it's my opinion.
Okay, well, that.
Because you weren't in the committee meetings that I had with her before and had to deal with the crap I had to deal with. So.
Well, that's beside the point.
That's actually exactly the point. So that's the point of all this.
Okay, so,
Call for the question.
all right, question has been called. All those in favor of approving the second reading on ordinance 821.0, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
So it's, just to be clear, it's okay with our directors just to kind of go rogue. If magistrates ask for things, they can just kind of go rogue and do things on their own. Is that how we're gonna move forward?
Oh, I don't know that she went rogue.
I can tell you from this whole experience, she went rogue, so.
Well, I think that's still your opinion.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, we don't need to let our personal opinions interfere with a good employee.
All right, let's see, let me go back to the agenda. All right, Brent's on, but he's not here, I don't believe.
10:30.
Yeah.
10:30.
So we'll skip on down to Miss Julie Wagner, and she's got a couple items.
Just a few. The first is it's time to bid out janitorial services again, so I'm asking for permission to do that. I do want to point out I've made one significant change to the contract, and that is we have written in protocols for when we're in a red county, a yellow county, and a green county. So if it's in a red county, we have multiple times a day that doorknobs, buttons that the public touch will be sanitized. If we're in a yellow county, it's at least once a day, and then if it's green, I think it's weekly. But I did build stair steps for whatever status the county is in. There's some other little things, but that's the biggest change, I think, to that. So I'd like to get your permission just to put the proposals out and see what we get.
Julie, refresh my memory on how often we have to.
Okay, let's do, just a second. Motion made by Magistrate K. Wood, second by Magistrate Gay, on to the permission to advertise the bid for cleaning services. Now you can make comments or questions.
I'm sorry, John, I didn't hear your motion. I apologize for that. How often we have to put out this bid? Every 4 years?
No, it was written as a one-year contract with a year to
One-year
extend.
extension.
Yeah, and so his one-year extension ends at the end of this month.
Yep.
Okay. 1 year with 1 year extension.
Yes.
Right.
Forgot about
Sounds
that.
right.
Okay, well,
Yes.
yeah.
About every 2 years is our.
Well, we have a good janitor. I hope hope he stays with us.
Yeah.
So any other comments, questions? All those in favor of the motion to advertise for a cleaning contract, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Unanimously. Next, Julie.
It's time to set the annual property rate, and I'd like, just to bring you up to speed, we're gonna call a finance committee meeting and start that discussion. This has to be voted on and in Frankfurt by September 3rd. So,
I'd
just
like
an
to see
FYI.
if we can get a finance committee meeting together. Bill, if you could check, see if you're available on Friday at some point in time.
This coming Friday, which is the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
Well, no, it's connected to phobia.
What time are you thinking about?
Can I get back with you? I don't have my football
Okay.
schedule right in front of me
All right.
right now, so it'd be, I think that morning is better for me. If the morning works, like 9 o'clock or something.
You're right. Okay.
Okay, so
Seriously.
Thank you.
all right,
Early
so
the best.
the committee will meet together on Friday morning
Yes.
and move forward on that. And, I guess we'll probably have to have a special call
We
meeting. Come
most
back.
likely will, because you have to have, if we're, if we're going to adjust the rate, looks like we'll have to have 2 meetings, so let the committee get together and figure out where we're
Has to
gonna
be
go.
by September 3rd.
Third,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay, got a plan. Meet Friday morning at a time to be determined.
Pencil in 9 o'clock and I'll confirm that.
You're gonna call me,
I'll
Yeah.
text you.
Okay.
text me or do something.
Pencil in 9 o'clock on Friday. It's all right. Okay, is that all right now?
That is, yeah.
Okay. Chris Herron, County Attorney, has got the resolution on the Crawford House. Talk to us about that.
We're
This-
trying to fix or do a deed of correction for the Crawford House so that we can take a little parcel of that, and so it won't, there's certain restrictions that apply to the whole area of the Crawford House and the adjoining land, and we hired someone to do that, which has been done and surveyed off. We just have to do a resolution approving the judge sign that deed, and also I spoke with Injurus Engineering, which prepared the new plat, and I thought they would have already gone through the planning and zoning portion of getting it all approved, which they have not. They forwarded me a bunch of plats, which I'll have to apply at City Hall with P&Z to get that new plat entered into the and approved and filed with the clerk's office. So this is just one of the steps in the process, but we're getting a little bit closer each time.
Do we need a motion today?
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve this document on the Crawford House.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the Fiscal Court Resolution number 2108-1001, I believe. Is that correct, Counselor?
Well,
For today's date?
Right, in your documents I put 21.08.09. Got my one day, I was 1 day off. Today is the 10th, and it kind of corresponds to the day
And this is
of August.
in
so-
reference to a deed of correction on the Crawford House out on US 68 in Perryville, and which will allow the state to move forward and dispose of the property as they see fit.
Was Colin second?
I second it.
Okay, made by Magistrate Ellis and seconded by Magistrate Cullen. There will be a correction to the middle initial on this document. It's not J, so just so you all know.
And the date.
And the date.
I'd like to speak to it, Judge.
All right, go ahead.
If you don't know about the Perryville battlefield and the battle, other than Doctors Creek, which suffered great carnage on both sides because it was way into the 80s and high humidity during the battle, leading up to the battle, the Crawford House was the headquarters for the Confederacy. And that everlasting spring down below and right adjacent to our convenience center out there was the reason that they bivouacked down at the base of that cliff at the Chaplain River, and they had pure clean water coming out of that cave underneath the cliff. It's my hope, and I compliment the judge for working with Commissioner Meyer of the state parks. It's my hope that the state will follow through with the decision to deaccession this property because we already have a couple of people interested in bidding on it. Its state of repair is not good at this point. It will cost a lot of money, but I know there's one person in Indiana who is most interested in it historically and wants to be one of the bidders. And I think that he would have the capability, if the state would allow it to be sold, to be a successful bidder. I've never met him, but he's corresponded with me about every 6 weeks. So this will be good news, and I'll be happy to follow up with you, Judge, with Commissioner Meyer.
Yeah, when I first came in, I thought this would be a piece of cake. It's been anything but that. Anything but, right, Counselor?
It's been a mess.
And we've both been very frustrated with some of the processes that we've gone through. And hopefully the light at the tunnel's getting much bigger and much brighter, so I think we're just about there. But I think even with this done, we're still gonna have to poke the bull to get the state to move on this thing.
Right, right, and I'll be happy.
I think that Myers guy will. I've got confidence in him.
Yeah.
Tom and I talked to him up at the conference, and I agree with you. John, we've been working on this for how many years now?
Long time. I'm sure Counselor would be glad to get this off his.
Yeah.
To help you along, I call the question.
Counselor, this happened to fall in your lap, didn't it?
I'll be very happy to be there.
And we've got to save that place.
Yeah.
All right, the question's been called. All those in favor of signing, for allowing us to sign the deed of correction on the Crawford House, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you all.
All right, we go back to see where we are. Looks like Miss Jackie Richardson is up to talk about some things.
I just
Can you,
wanted.
can you go 15 minutes?
Did anyone text Brent, or is he can't be here till 10:30?
He said 10:30, I don't know.
At first he said no, and then he said I can do 10:30, so.
Text him and tell him he's on.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to give you all an update as to what we've been doing this past week or so. And I think I've talked to you all individually. There's June financials in your packet, and I gave you an updated copy this morning. The new budget needs to be entered into KVS before we can run July financials, and we are not going to do that until we get the quarters, the April, May, and June closed out in the year end. So we are working on that. That's priority for this week. The occupational tax checks for Danville and Boyle County are in the bill list for today, and they are on time. And we've already discussed the invoices, the delinquent invoices, and those are in to be paid, and that's where we stand right now.
Okay, you passed around most recently this updated checking balance sheet, investment balance sheet, and the 911, E91, that's all up to speed.
The salaries are in, yep.
The salaries are up to speed and everything on that. So. Okay, anybody got any questions of our acting treasurer? Finance committee, anybody? No?
No, we're
Okay,
good.
well, looky here.
There he is.
Make a motion to get it. Thank you, I'll say something since nobody else wants it. I just appreciate the work that you're doing and hanging there with it. I know you and Miss Julie and all of you.
Yes.
And all.
Yes.
Myra.
Our team has been
Stuff on
wonderful.
all of you, but
Yes. Yep, everybody's
encourage
chipped
you. I
in,
just
and
encourage you to hang in there with it, okay?
I will.
They're doing excellent work. They're doing excellent work.
You've got a good staff, Judge, and we appreciate them.
Thank you. All right, Brent, if you're ready, we're ready for you.
All right, let's get to it.
Who are you, sir?
I don't know. There's a lot of names for me right now, probably.
Good seeing you.
Well, I always appreciate talking to you all, and appreciate taking a few minutes just to give you a little updated information and what we're kind of looking at and what I think a little bit. So feel free to ask me any questions too as I go through this. But start out, sorry, my phone is a 5 and it's so old.
You know you can't even trade it in? They won't take it as a trade-in.
Badly, I need to trade it in. All right, I'm going to give you just about 30 seconds of data, and then I want to talk about, there's a reason I'm giving it to you, but just a little updated. As of August 9, 2021, total cases for Boyle County, 3,750, total deaths 80. As of 7/15 or July 15, 2021, 3,535 cases, total deaths 78. I get this question asked a lot in the last 2 weeks or last 3 weeks. What's our cases look like? And that's the best way I know to put it. You know, just to lay out the data of what the numbers are. 3,750. August 9th,
3,750. July 15, 3,535. And then total deaths as of August 9th were 80. Total deaths as of July 15th were 78. The Delta variant, I get asked that question a lot. 57.1% of the cases sequenced in Kentucky from June 21st through July 17th were considered the Delta variant. And here's what I learned in looking that up. They don't take every single test sample and look and see if it's the Delta or what variant. They just pull a sample of that, and then out of that, they kind of base what they think's going on in the rest of the state based on that. 352 cases were sequenced in that sample they pulled during that time period. So if you look at just 352, they said 57% of them were the Delta. So that gives you a little idea of how they at least look at that. And when I say they, I'm talking about the state
And
level.
what is the test for that determination?
I don't know. It's just at the state level with Dr. Winter and however they pull that out.
So these samples are sent to the state, or are they done here?
Well, no, the state will pull them from any samples that have done in the state lab, and they'll pull them from that and do the variant test there. But to the judge's point, I couldn't tell you what the actual...
Do they randomly do this? They don't do every case, do they?
No, they do not.
They randomly, okay.
They just randomly pick a sample, and I can't even tell you how they decided to pick 352 cases during that time.
They probably do them in batches.
And it could be, maybe they have enough batches come in to feel like that they could do that. But that's the number coming from the state of Kentucky on that. North Point, as of August 6th, 10 active staff cases, no active inmate cases at North Point. Total staff for North Point since last March, 116 staff, 936 inmates. And those numbers are right out there on DOC. That's just a reminder of where that is, because I get asked a lot about North Point and the numbers out there, and I'll talk about their website.
I appreciate that distance.
Yeah, it's, well, let me also put this in. They had, no, never mind, different number. Okay, I've been asked a lot recently about children's cases. So here's the numbers on the children's cases. Let me back up. Let me do the jail first. As of right now, as of last week, we had about 12 possible contact tracing probable cases out there that we weren't sure they were a case. And I'm talking about the detention center here when doing that. But we happen to be out there doing some shots for them, trying to help them to stay updated on that and look through our files. And it just gives you an idea. You know, if you look at North Point in the jail, they are so vulnerable to that because people coming in are coming from everywhere. Who knows, you know, where they've been, what population they've been around, what they've been exposed to. And so they have that potential to bring that into that closed environment. And as we know, it can spread fast in those environments. All right. All right. Breakdown of the cases, because this is the one I get asked a lot about now. Okay. COVID-19 vaccine. Let's do the vaccine first, of the number of cases. For the 12 to 17-year-olds, 913 people between that age group have gotten a vaccine. 18 to 29-year-olds, 277,350. 30 to 39-year-olds, 273,000. 40 to 49-year-olds, 305,000. 50-year-olds to 64, 606,000, and 65 plus, 579,000 plus.
For the state.
For the state, yeah. So that at least gives you an idea of what the vaccine numbers, because I'm asked that a lot now.
What was the kid's number again?
12 to 17 was 114,913. To do that, and of course we don't know, you know, any numbers below that because they don't officially have a vaccine for that. So let me tell you why I started out with some data, and there's a lot more data we can talk about.
Could I ask one question?
Absolutely.
About data? I might have missed it if you said it because there was so much data. Do we have, of the Boyle County cell, do we have the incidence rate that ended up in the hospital either here or in Lexington?
For just Boyle County numbers, hospitalization
Boyle County
rate.
residents, what percentage of them had it so severely that they ended up in the hospital?
We can get that. I didn't bring that with me, but I can send that
What I'm
out.
seeing nationally, it's not a great percentage.
Yes, with the Delta, you're definitely right. Is that what you were asking me about?
Well,
The-
Delta
more the
or
Delta?
all.
Yeah. No, you're correct. The Delta, what we're seeing is the hospitalization hasn't been as great as it was last, when we were dealing with this back last year. It seems to spread faster, and it seems to just get more people in general in a smaller time period. It's kind of what we're seeing from our cases right now. But hospitalizations, even though they've gone up, and they look at a really steep trend right now, does not necessarily mean they're going to be at the level they were for a long period of time last year.
Thank you. Is that variant more deadly?
I think so.
All right, I'm going to give you what just in Boyle County for the cases we've worked. So far, no. Just for the Boyle County cases we've worked in the last month. But again, it just seems to spread so much faster has been the ball game for us. Before, and we had a lot of layers of protection or whatever you want to call it going back then, with mandates on masking and all sorts of things. And now we don't have nearly that much. But if you look at the trend, right, the trend last year kind of went like this, went up, smoothed out, went up, kind of up like that. If you look at the trend right now, we got down here, and it's like that. Now, hopefully the thought is we do this, and then we're hitting this pretty soon. And then we've plateaued instead of taking a whole year, whereas, it took a long time last year for us to get to that point. But the theory behind that was, obviously, we're trying not to overwhelm our hospitals and our healthcare system. And so far, that doesn't seem to be the case here. I talked to Ephraim yesterday, and I talked to Jason Dean usually on that, and that wasn't necessarily the case. They had a very busy weekend at the hospital. But if you take into fact, they have busy weekends, a lot of weekends anyway, and then you throw the COVID on top of it, and you've got a really busy weekend. It's highly expensive. Yeah.
Brent, would it be possible to give the information that you're sharing with us, maybe like on a daily or every couple of days to the
I'm glad you said that,
somebody,
Phil.
let them put it on,
We've talked
county
about that.
website.
We've
Yeah.
talked about that recently.
I'm getting calls of people, or general public, that want to know what's going on and how can they get this information or something, and they'd like to have this information.
Well, and I'm actually glad you said that, Phil. The reason I did all the data first and what I'm passing around now, and you all seen this before, and I put this out on Facebook a lot. There are two websites I get 90 whatever % of my data from, and it's these two that are right here. So please share those to anybody in the public, because 99% of the time if somebody calls me wanting data, I will automatically pull those up on my computer, my phone, whatever, and say, go to these websites. Because all those numbers I read you, with the exception of the jail, we were looking at probable cases. All those numbers they come from right here on this data. And what's really good about this data, it's updated daily. So it's not Brent trying to catch up once a week and all that. This is every day. You can look back all the way from last March on the reports, and you can compare data from day to day. You compare month to month, all sorts of, there's a lot of data on there.
Does it pour down to the county level?
Could we give this to the paper?
Oh, absolutely, and they've had it.
Out there behind
Yeah,
you.
be glad. I know Robin Hart. Yeah,
Could you
I'll
that
get it back to
paper,
Robin.
Robin, this,
But
Thanks.
that's the data I use. The majority of it. Occasionally I get some of the anecdotal stuff, like where I was talking to Ephraim over the weekend and just trying to give you a little flavor of that.
It could help your call load.
What's that?
I mean, getting this out could help your call load,
I put it out a lot. I mean, I've been putting it out since last September. And
I bet you have.
Is there any information that Ephraim can provide to add to this about what they're seeing or what their vaccination totals are that like how many have they given this month, this week, this whatever?
Yeah,
And
They should
that
be
was
able
actually
to.
one of my questions here is, I know when the vaccines were first available, they were full, like you had to schedule it out.
Right.
Are they still at that level, or have they seen a significant drop-off in people requesting the vaccine?
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely been a drop-off.
And does this mean that shots are being wasted, or no? How?
We have entered the era about 4 months ago where we have shots wasted. And the fallacy in that, and we knew this last year when I would talk to you guys and other people, and our goal initially was we will not waste a dose, and we didn't until probably late March into April. And what happens is
this year.
Yeah,
this year.
Yeah, this year. There's a time limit. When we pop the top on that, we've got 6 hours or 4 hours, whatever it is, and we're done. And it's the same for everybody now. You know, everybody was trying that, and that's not the case now.
I know
it's
for a fact that when he would call me and we would have a dialogue exchange and said, we're getting ready to open this, and once we open it, we don't want to waste any. So I would circulate a request list around the courthouse, all 3 floors, to see if anybody wanted to go get a vaccine, and people could sign their name up, and we had that.
Right.
And when you had that situation, you'd call them, and
Right.
and we would fill that.
I know that you worked real hard to have this area become a vaccination site.
Ephraim McDowell, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what can we do to expand that? I mean, you know, they do a great job out, you know, where they're at. Can we have a few more, like, maybe possible pop-up little areas, like courthouse would be a great center downtown.
Center has been a vaccine site.
Yeah, can we just, I mean, I look at the lines of people waiting for stuff over at, over with Trilly's office, you know, if we could maybe have somebody set up, kind of like they do flu shots, but have somebody here, you know, offering shots. Can we have it a little more accessible to people to, you know, I guess we would have to have a room set up or something like that because of different things, but we can't just have it in one spot or 2 spots.
Well, there's not just one
now
spot.
Now that the flow is down so much, just as any of us, we want to get to our position, rather than 3 months, we say, call me. Do they have a call list at the hospital for those people who signed up? UK did this, because we almost got over there, but we ended up being Ephraim. But if they had a call list, like my physician, my dentist, I've got an opening, I know you wanted to be in earlier than October of this year, do they have it, or could you suggest that to them?
We've done that continually. But Ephraim had it for a long time. They worked it. Yeah. I mean, we've had it. Everybody's had it. And back to your point, I mean, we'll do a clinic about anywhere. Here's what's happened with the clinics. We were doing so many clinics, and then, you know, we dropped off for a little while because nobody would come, and we started up again. And so we'll put it out that we're having a J&J clinic, and I know there's some people that won't do J&J, they want a different version. I get it. And we would have 100 slots open and 22 people would sign up. And we've done that. I think we're on, I can't even tell you what number we're on. But I will say this, you know, definitely one in the courthouse or anywhere, you call me, we'll get it set up. We don't have a problem. We're doing one next week at the big Christian church out across in Bowling Alley. We've got another Pfizer coming up for kids 12 to 17 next week. We've got another one coming up too, and I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, holler at me. Anybody that's got a place that wants to do it, usually about an hour and a half long, is about all we run into before people stop showing.
Now, UK, the extension office out there, they were doing COVID.
Yeah,
I think they still
Ephraim
are.
still does Thursday mornings till noon, I believe. I believe it's 8 to noon. They still, and it's a walk-in.
I apologize. First of all, I'm going to have to slip out. We are checking in football today at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And so it's back on at center now, and we'll be in touch a lot. I'll continue to be involved in the case management and contact tracing, and so we'll touch base more on that.
Yeah.
I do want to say I can't say it strongly enough, is that everybody needs to get vaccinated, and that's extremely important. I know we're not willing to mandate it, and I get that. But I just want to say, for your health and the community health, it's your best defense. Get vaccinated. They're safe. They're effective. They do their job. Also, as far as masks are concerned, I really think we're to the point where we need to look at, in our courthouse, our public buildings, that we go back to our employees wearing their mask in our forward-facing buildings. As much as anything, that protects our public. And the primary goal of government is to protect the health and safety of its citizens. And so we need to really look at that. And again, I apologize, but I do have to go and start checking in our football team.
I'm going to add on to something here real quick, because I think this is a little more important. I think you've touched on this. We're entirely too close right now.
Right.
We need to go back to spreading out.
Yes.
I think that's probably the better defense than the masks in a lot of ways, is
I think, we've talked about this, social distancing is equally, almost equally as important as the mask in itself.
Yeah, it's, if you've seen any of my, I finally got real
Jamey.
frustrated, I'm sorry.
Judge, while Jamey's still here, because I concur with what he just said, and I'd like to make a motion that the court adopt a resolution to urge all citizens in Boyle County to get vaccinated.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded by Magistrate Gay. Anybody have any questions or comments about the court stating a resolution encouraging vaccinations?
On question.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like
Thanks,
sign,
Jamey.
motion carries.
Hey, Brent, I was gonna suggest, I think August 28th, we're having the special day where people can bring in their trash. I think it's Recycle Day. That might be a good time to set up a clinic that day. Is it at the fairground?
No, it's at the convenience center, government service.
Government service.
Somebody shoot me a text or an email and say that, because I won't, thanks.
What percentage in Boyle County do we have vaccination?
We're about 52%, and Kentucky is about 53, 54.
Okay.
Is about, that's give or take a percent.
Because,
either way.
the number of people that does do the it's gonna slow your clinics down, because, you don't have as many people. But with our case, it's still quite a few people have to be vaccinated.
Yeah, it's about half. I mean,
Yeah.
but then again, you've got to consider however many kids are age 11 and under are also in that percentage
they're in that
unvaccinated.
data?
They're in the not vaccinated data. Yeah. So let's say 40% of the adults make up the rest of that, and I'm just kind of guessing that number.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Sure.
Okay, but I've asked a couple of times today, what percentage of our first responders are vaccinated? And EMS is in the 80s, as I remember what he said. Our detention center was in the 50s. Do you see a day coming when first responders should be mandated to have vaccination? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I am. I apologize.
That's all right. That's all right. Honestly, John, I don't know. I think it's going to come down to local levels and mandates at local levels is what I feel like.
Yes, sir.
I think, last year the mandates were mainly on the state governor level, and it seems to me like more of that's been pushed down to the local levels. And, for groups like this or city commissions or whoever to look at mandating, I think that's where those things will come from. If anybody saw one of my most recent posts on Facebook of the frustration level I've gotten to, I don't put a lot of info out anymore, but what I did say, if you saw it, was vaccinate, social distance, wear a mask when needed, and wash hands. And literally that's what the message really is, that's what it's boiled down to. But on your mandate question, that's my personal feeling about how I think that's going to play out in not only this community, but I think around Kentucky.
Well, I'm specific in first responders who have a really high risk in their job. I mean, it's just the way they,
right.
Particularly I think EMS, with how close they have to get with who they're working with and that type of thing.
Well, I think if you look at the business world, and I look at every organization, business, whatever, to me is theoretically the same, because most of these organizations have the ability to make their own rules about mandate or vaccinations and not. I mean, we've already seen places that are doing it. They're saying if you don't get vaccinated, you can't work here. A lot of them have been medical so far, in the hospital settings, medical field, that type of thing. But there's other groups that I think will fall in line with that over time to just finally say, if you're not vaccinated, you can't work here. Or maybe they'll provide a testing piece of that to say, if you're not getting vaccinated, you have to agree to be tested twice a week and wear a mask or something.
Well, it's a question you can't run from in today's situation. So I think we need to start a discussion because it's a difficult question.
It is.
But it's worthy of the discussion.
I've had a lot of private business I've talked to over the last several months in particular with that exact question. They're trying to figure out legality of it. And they're also trying to figure out if I have 35 people working here and I mandate vaccination and and 9 of them walk off the job and say, I'm not doing it, how can I continue functioning as a business?
Well,
And they're trying to figure out those kind of things too.
There's a staffing issue with first responders, EMS,
Yeah.
you know, and it's hard to get people to work,
It
and
is.
you can't really in a position to lose anybody, and so that's why
Sure.
why I bring it up.
No, there's, one of the hospitals, I'm drawing a blank on which one, just, they had a picket out in front of the hospital the last several days, I think on the very day that the vaccine was mandated, or they were given the vaccines inside or something. Yeah, so you're exactly right. It's a real question, but I do think that's more at the local level. I mean, the governor can, he has certain things I guess he can mandate now, and I'm sure there'll be some instances where he'll do that, but overall, I think it's more a local question now.
Back to the rural vaccination sites, have you worked with the schools at all to see possibly if you can set up days where kids will get a permission slip that says they can get, a vaccine? Like, I'm guessing it's the middle and high school.
Yeah, we haven't done the permission slip. We've always required a guardian with them, parent or guardian, but we did a Pfizer one, wish I could remember the date. We've got the second dose of that one coming up this Friday. We've got another Pfizer one specifically for 12 to 17-year-olds. That's the 16th. So 21 days after that will be the second, and all those go out to the schools. They hype them for us a lot.
Okay.
And that's how we get the people coming in. But it's been interesting. We have people coming, kids coming from other counties too, that are seeking that Pfizer. And that's okay. We'll give them a shot. That's fine. But yeah, we have done that a lot.
Let's look down the road a little bit here, because you and I have talked about this as well. We have to start thinking about the boosters that are gonna be needed for this. This isn't going away, not in many of our lifetime right now. So we have to figure out a way to get people to, I understand that there's people that don't want it, but if they want the vaccine, we can try to urge them. I had a teacher that, had, as a young boy, had polio. And there was the effects of polio. You could see every day brilliant guy, but he had, lost the use of one arm and various things. And, I know this isn't as deadly as we thought it might be, but there could be long-term effects that we just don't know about.
Sure.
And so what we need to do is we need to start talking about get your vaccines, but we also need to start talking about and be prepared for a booster. Because that's going to be important, and I know you may have mentioned before that this may be one of those instances where it's get your flu shot and your booster. This is what we're going to turn into.
I hope so.
Colin is right. The data coming in already for.
Can you say it again? I don't hear it.
for the the data coming in on teenagers is possible long-term effect on heart and lung, and I know you've probably seen that, and so that's more than predictable. Apparently, it's already being diagnosed.
Do we have any data on which vaccines are more effective? Or is it just kind of, really, this thing seems just to attack a person and hit them differently.
The data we do have that I can personally say, looking at enough death certificates, comorbidities are the deal with this virus. And you can almost, the 4 or 5 or 3, you can look at obesity, diabetes, heart disease, I'm missing one. But you can almost, those are the ones of people who struggle mightily with this virus. And most of those are right on the death certificate. So, the personal health piece of it is, in my opinion, never more important than it is right now. You all have heard me say this before, and I know I complain about this. Kentucky, we are probably still the 47th or 48th worst health state in the nation. And that number hadn't improved. Us, West Virginia, Mississippi, and whoever else. And in a pandemic with a virus that looks for that, or it seems to look for that, it hits us hard.
We're one of the heaviest in smoking. Number 1, I guess,
Yeah, that's another one we rank right at the top for smoking. Yeah. Just an unhealthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
So you're right, Jason. When you combine, really those comorbidities.
Told right in the same
Huh? That's a good day.
No. I mean, seriously, so we need to make sure that we kind of get ahead of the flu as well.
Yeah.
I've already had one employee that I thought was definitely a COVID case, and she got tested and it's actually the flu. So this is going to be a hard fall,
Yeah.
winter for both COVID and flu.
The good thing about flu is because so many people already give that. I mean, every pharmacy we've already started setting up flu clinics. We have a lot of companies that we work with every year that we set them up and go do their employees. The good thing about flu is it's readily available usually. Hopefully this time COVID or the vaccine will be a lot more available than it was the first 7 months of this. But to your point too, you're exactly right. As soon as we know, and I agree, I hope that whatever they come out with is a combined dose, because I think we've got a much better shot of giving people one dose that covers flu and COVID than we do of having two separate. And particularly if we have to have 2 COVID doses plus 1 flu, then I think we even lose a few more people in there.
One last moment of your
Sure.
time. I know your staff already works really hard. They're inundated. But one other place I might ask you to try to look at doing, we only have probably a few weeks left of our farmers market.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something, maybe some works with the farmers market.
Sure.
And because you're out there for a couple hours and,
Yeah.
if more access we can give people, the more choices they have to get this under control.
I agree. I'll definitely pass it on to Lindsay too, who heads that up. The good thing now, we're not to where we are with flu, but there is a lot of capacity now for people to go get shots. And sometimes that's a little baffling to me. We do have it. You can go get a shot a lot of places and people don't go. And I guess that's just part of the nature of what this deal is. And
You kind of have to go to them instead of them coming to you at this point.
And we've done a lot of that.
Yeah, no, you guys have done a fantastic job.
Yeah, but I get
We
what
just
you're
have to be
saying.
creative, and I feel our farmers market people would definitely be up for it if they don't already have it, but we draw a lot of people downtown with that.
Sure.
And if we're gonna allow things like festivals and different things, then we need to be there for those things as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely pass that on to Lindsay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are you hearing anything about how they might increase the age for availability to maybe drop it down to 10-year-olds? Because, I have one child that's vaccinated, I have one that's not.
I have nothing official on that. I've heard very little to nothing on that in a while. My assumption is they're still working on it. And honestly, off the top of my head, I can't even remember which vaccine it is that they're looking at that. I want to say, anybody know off the top of their head? Pfizer. So hopefully that's soon, because, we've got a whole population of people in the school setting that don't have the ability to even get to that. So I do hope that's soon, but I don't have anything official on that, Chris.
I don't understand why it's taking so long to get this approved for kids under 12. But I have 4 grandkids that are under 12, and I'd like to, from 6 on up, I'd like to see that happen, because all of them are like, before they go to school,
That EAU process it takes a while to do that, and it's just a process. They have to make sure they get through all their clinical trials, and, they deal with any possible.
Well, they lost that one child, and it seemed like that really slowed everything else down after that about the study.
Yeah.
For you, one child out of how many million?
Oh, I agree. I hope it's soon. I really do. I just don't have anything to say they're even looking at a date that I know, that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Well, I'll say one last thing. Don't hold me to it. I appreciate your updates from your health department, but I will have to commend Ms. Weston over here, who does a fantastic job of constantly posting, constantly running numbers. And I don't know what you do, but I see her post more than anything out there. And so, along with the health department, there's the Boyle County Help and Support Group that's got about 4,400 members right now. And I think they post a lot of good stuff too, and I appreciate y'all being here. We're not taking this half-hearted in any way, and I hope you know that. So.
Well, I appreciate what you do there all the time. And we've communicated, you and the mayor and I, we've talked. And when we first started going through this, we had weekly
we did
teleconferences, that were on YouTube's to reach out to everybody, give them information, and finally, I don't remember when the date was, but you know, it died down to like 10 people watching it, so really, we discontinued that, but maybe we bring it back up. I don't know, but, you know, I'm open to anything, but John,
Sure.
go ahead.
I just want to thank Brent and your team.
Yeah,
You've got a lot of
absolutely.
support, and thank you. And I thank you for what you've done and the stress you've been under. I talk to Stephanie from time to time, I know. And,
She's a good one.
but thank you, sir.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what John says, Brent, Boyle County doesn't know how fortunate we are to have you and your staff.
Well, thank you.
Y'all do a wonderful job.
You guys.
Appreciate it.
And
We
certainly-
try.
And we certainly appreciate you.
Well, I still want you to come back and explain the whole public health area to
I will.
fellow
I
magistrates
definitely will.
sometime, so they understand the huge job and responsibility that you have.
It is huge.
It is,
Yeah.
it is.
I will definitely do that. Let's get through COVID and I'll
Let's
be
get
back.
through there. That's right.
Appreciate you guys.
might be
Thank you.
retired by then, right?
Thank you,
Thanks,
thank you,
Brent.
Brent. Have a good day. All right, we're at the point where we go around for committee reports, so,
I'll start.
all right, go ahead.
We met this morning, EMS committee met this morning. We considered the promotion from part-time to full-time of EMT Godby. We considered and approved Jada Nylander for the overdose outreach coordinator. We received updates on the 3 buses that are being repaired right now. EC2 has an engine that's out, but luckily Bob Allen has really responded quickly to get that engine in. But that, just so you guys know, that already has 120,000 on it, and that's one of our newest ones, I think they said. They're waiting for a few more parts, so that one should be up soon, hopefully. We also have a diesel EC5 that needs a new transmission. That one has 174,000 miles on it, and then EC4 has a fuel leak and should be fixed by today, but that one has 150,000 miles on it. And like John mentioned, those are just miles. That's not engine time. Those things sit idling for a while because they have to be ready. And then we talked about the ambulance bids, and we appreciate everyone in their discussion on that and getting those taken care of today. And then one last question John did ask that we were interested in was, how many of the staff are vaccinated, and Director Rogers is going to get back to us on that. He is a proponent of the vaccination, and he is very open with his staff, and tries to get them. And luckily, Brent does a lot of the stuff at the jail, so them being right there, they have the ability. So we ended the meeting at about 8:50. Present were myself, Magistrate Kaywood, Director Rogers, Captain Mattingly, and Major Wesley.
Did he get promoted? I missed it. His shirt says lieutenant.
Who?
Mattingly, sir.
He did. I don't think he's gotten a new. We did that.
Was he
I think about
just
a month
recent
ago.
promotion?
We updated him
Yes, I think
to
so.
captain.
Yeah.
I appreciate him, still wearing the old stuff, saving us a few dollars here or there. So that's my report for EMS committee.
Motion to accept.
Yep.
Okay, and made by Magistrate Cole and seconded by Magistrate Kaywood. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say, the mileage that they've got on these ambulances, you gotta realize this is in-town miles.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Hard
not-
miles.
Yeah, it's real hard miles in town like that, cause really you don't open your motor up, like you do on a trip. So it's probably considered twice that many miles on these vehicles, especially on the engine.
Which is extremely important for my district, your district, Phil's district, and Tom's district. Like we discussed, that transmission that went out on EC5, they were going out your area, having to back up a really steep hill, and then that's when the transmission went out. And the first thing that comes to my mind is if you've got somebody,
Heart attack.
well, if you got an ambulance coming, you need medical assistance right away, and the last thing we need to worry about is them having to send a second ambulance. We've got a total of 6 in the fleet, 3 are down. I know that Mike was really stressed this weekend about only having three
He was.
vehicles. And so, thank you very much for taking the powers needed to go ahead and authorize getting one fixed. But, you know, especially with the discussion we're having with COVID and everything else that's happening, it's really important that we pay attention.
We got that motor in quick. Bob got that motor in quick.
Yeah,
so
and
that's-
runs are up, so.
Yeah.
And they're only gonna get worse.
Expectations are huge.
So, yes.
All
So,
right.
make sure you thank one of our EMS people when you see him.
Absolutely. For all those that want to approve the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. All right, next. That next committee report,
I'll have it.
anybody? How about Public Works?
Well, I'll give that report at the end of the month as protocol calls.
Okay, all right.
But anybody else around other issues, if you would look at the paper that was on your desk.
Thought we were doing committee. Or no?
Committee?
Committee
Yeah.
last of the month.
Oh.
Yep.
Committee reports the last of the month.
It was on the agenda, but it is the last of the month, but you know.
That you're done.
we-
I'm not done.
Okay.
You're finished.
Let's do this and then we'll go around
That's
the one
fine.
real quick.
That's fine.
You have on the table a flex fund resolution. Dwayne, could you come forward, because we might have questions. It's critical that we get this done so that we can move forward on some roads and have the appropriate resolution. So I make a motion on the resolution that was on your desk this morning that it be approved.
Second.
Dwayne,
Okay.
any comments?
Motion made by Batchel, second by Batchel Cullen to approve the
kind of our standard procedure.
resolutions on the flex funds with the state of the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Transportation Cabinet. And we had already previously approved the roads that would be subject to those flex funds. This resolution came in Friday, I think. So that's why it's here. It came in after the initial packets went out and came in, so that's why it's here.
And there's a signature page, so don't leave without signing.
And what they want an I count and an A count by hand vote. We'll do it by hand vote, so it, you know, we can put the names down there on the resolution sheet. And if there be one absence, then that will be actually Gay. So go ahead, Dwayne. Anything else
You want me
you
to
need
read
to
do we need to read the
I don't
resolution,
think
or are we okay with that?
Council, we don't need to read it out,
Yeah.
do we?
And,
No.
and it's for $137,390 is the agreement. So that's what this
Yeah.
resolution is approving, really agreeing to the agreement and allowing the judge to sign it.
Right. So, that being said, no further discussion. All those in favor of approving the resolution will do a right hand in aye. It looks unanimous with one absentee. Okay? So,
Okay.
motion passes.
I'm pleased to read in the morning paper that the.
Are you gonna start on the individual?
Yeah. Is it?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We'll go back around, that's fine.
Okay.
Last night, last Thursday, the Perryville City Council voted on a resolution. I mentioned it in here a couple of weeks ago, that when the water tower is completed, we're hoping for communications for education for our young people, for EMS, the Sheriff's Office, Fire Department. This has been done all over the communities of Kentucky. I've been taking pictures in various communities of water towers that have antenna on top of them. And it would be a godsend if we can persuade the City Council of Danville to go along with the resolution that came from Perryville. And I would make a recommendation that we send forward a message as well, that this would aid everyone that I just mentioned and improve your communications at your home with your cell phone and your internet if the city agrees to contract, which is a revenue stream for them, if they would agree to contract with AT&T, Verizon, and all the rest of them who would be interested in it. So I would make that as a motion, that we pass this forward, that we too.
A resolution?
What would it be, Counselor? A motion, just a motion?
Because I don't want to do anything that may hamstring negotiations or discussions that are moving forward on a wider broadband.
Sure. Yeah, this would be immediate.
Collaboration.
Yeah. I make a motion that we encourage the city to consider antenna on top of the new water tower on Tuggle Road at US 150.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made to ask the
Encourage.
city to be encouraged to consider putting, towers,
Antennas on.
antennas on the water tower at Tuggle Road.
Ready for discussion?
Yes.
I think
Motion
it's-
made by Matchell, seconded by Magistrate.
I think it's a good point, Tom, but I don't think we need a motion for everything that comes up. I think we need, the judge can discuss this, or you can discuss it, or any of us can discuss it with the city.
I've already had favorable
and ask them
conversations
in
with
a
them.
nice way without us making a motion and trying to get something that, if I was the city, I'd think, well, they're trying to put more pressure on us, and I don't like that really. I'd wait and see if it's me what I prefer doing.
I think maybe the idea on this is to allow us asking the judge to have this conversation with the city.
There you go.
That's encourage, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the encouraging part. So it would definitely, I'm tired of talking to Tom and only hearing half his conversations on the cell phone. Because that area does need
And the
something.
5 hang-ups we had on one morning.
That was on purpose on his side. So,
I can hear you.
I will say, we had the water summit, and that's moving forward.
Good.
And we're not ready for a broadband summit, but there will be one such as, and everybody will be invited to participate and learn about that too, okay? But we're just in the very infantile stages of developing potential for collaboration to move broadband forward, where we're looking at opportunities in a private-public partnership arrangements potentially with multiple jurisdictions. I'll leave it at that for right now.
And that'll be at least a year out from my understanding.
I hope not. I hope not.
But this could be virtually come January when that water tower goes active.
But if it's very expensive, it could be redundant or.
Well, it would be up to the AT&Ts and the Verizons of the world, and it would be a revenue. Mayor Paris and I have had a conversation, and his immediate reaction was, "That's a revenue stream."
Yeah, I'm like Phil, I don't think we need to make a motion on get this.
Well, I mean, we have a motion on the floor. If it's not rescinded, we have a motion on the floor, but, and it's been seconded, so, the motion is to encourage the city to.
Because I think they already online with it, don't you think?
I'm not sure. I think every bit helps. That's why I was pleased with Perryville's action. Call a question?
Okay. All those in.
And the kids having to stay at home, and they're not able to communicate unless they move out to the places, the Farm Bureau and Portland Community Center and others.
We get him a muffin.
So we could have that problem.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
No.
I've got more. I've got more. The judge and I are setting up Pulse of the People in Portland. Missy, I'll get with you with a couple dates. I talked yesterday with the chairman of Portland Community Center, and he's very encouraged and anxious for it. Okay. One other thing, Judge, and I just think to show respect for the folks from the community, we have 5, I think, here very interested in the COVID conversation. Would you allow one to represent what they would like to say to the public about what we've done on COVID today?
My only concern with that, Tom, I agree with you, but we have, in the past, not allowed the public to speak.
And
So
it's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda. As much as I think they have very important things to say, if we start down this road, then we have public comment quite often, so.
Point well made. I would encourage you to talk to the advocate messenger.
Or talk to us individually as well. We do appreciate the letter that you sent along with your.
And it was received by everybody.
Yes.
And I respect your point.
Yeah, so that's my biggest concern. So.
That was 4 today.
All right.
I stopped counting. I'm in disbelief right now.
All right. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. John?
We haven't talked about this for a while, so real quick, Constitution Square.
Yes, sir.
Roof. We talked about doing a roof a year, I believe.
It's been longer
Is it
than that.
gonna be this year? We're beginning to run out of time, so.
We're gonna try again.
Is that gonna happen this year?
We hope if we can get bids, yeah.
Well, bids, we also have to think about price of materials right now.
That's why he's getting the bids, but I didn't want to fall off the table.
We
So-
discussed
No,
it with the,
It's budgeted.
Okay.
with
The
the
other-
committees met.
We'll try again.
The other thing, real quickly, we have two folks who have been involved with this fiscal court for a fair number of years, who are going on to either greener pastures or just whatever you want to call it, but they're changing jobs, basically. And I just want to recognize them. Robin is one of them, and she's going upstairs. But we appreciate
Get the
her
quote.
work with us, the relationship that we've had with us, and wish her very well. The other one is Jody Lassiter. And Jody, there's probably been times we've disagreed, but his heart's in the right place, and that's for Boyle County. And how we get to the end of the road, we may, like I say, disagree a little bit, but we wish him well in his new venture and his family, and I just think we ought to recognize those folks.
I agree. That's very well said. Okay, very well. Chris,
I don't have anything.
don't have anything?
Only thing, since John brought up Constitution Square, I'd like to make a comment about the flyers. If you haven't been by there,
They're nice.
they are beautiful this year, really nice. I guess the rain and everything else really helped, but they're beautiful.
Homegrown.
I'll add one thing. I've seen the young people up there working on them on Saturdays, and
Amazing.
so it's been a good project for them also.
And then give a shout out to James and his
And
work.
James always has it looking good. The park looks good, and I see people using it. so-
All right, thank you.
Beautiful.
Magistrate Short. Nothing? Magistrate Cullen.
Yes, Buster Pike Bridge, you and I had a conversation about this, but it's something that will be probably brought up here in the very near future, with the railroad. And Ronnie, this affects you, because I know that your district's having issues with long train lines that are pretty much spanning from his district to my district. And Norfolk is looking to tear down that Buster Pike Bridge, and we cannot let it happen without a replacement.
Without a replacement.
Without a replacement, because it'll only make it worse.
Yeah.
And we're already seeing issues. I know I read one day that someone's out there, there's a train sitting out there about an hour, which is not okay when we're talking about the safety of our county. And then I was happy to see last night that the city is holding back on annexation of the airport. I think that we need to have a much larger conversation than the rush to judgment was made to try to jump in there based on, whatever. As a property owner out there, I think that the court needs to be in these conversations as well. Earl's been good to have conversations with me, but I think others from the city are rushing it for whatever reasons. So I'm glad to see they tabled it last night, and we've got some good commissioners over there that are asking some good questions. So other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, all right, well, thank you everybody for that. I have before me the red zone reduction recommendations from KY COVID-19, ky.gov. Yeah, has everybody seen these? But anyway, we've posted these around the courthouse. We've also made masks available to those who arrive at the courthouse and do not have them. We will continue to do that, and continue to, by resolution, encourage those that feel better protected by vaccination to get those vaccinations, and give them the where to go get that.
Are we still having a good amount of hand sanitizer stations too?
We need to reinvigorate that, let's put it that way,
Yeah.
okay? We need to reinvigorate that, but we do, with this new cleaning contract, address those issues of COVID response and cleaning the courthouse by zone color.
I would encourage getting some hand sanitizer out there while, in the meantime, we're waiting
We will.
for more wipe downs and stuff. And
We will.
I know the crew that we have here does a good job, but let's take every precaution.
Maybe I can persuade Wayne to let us use his fogger device some up here and.
Remind us when it comes.
All right. The one thing I would like to kind of wrap up and finish today's discussions and court sessions is that Dr. Aaron Tipton has invited us for a tour of the advanced facility, manufacturing facility structure out at BCTC. And if you guys...
Is this the ribbon cutting?
No, it is not. It is just a tour.
Did we miss the ribbon cutting?
No, we have not missed the ribbon cutting. It has
Okay.
not happened yet.
I just want to make sure.
We have not happened. It has
Okay.
not happened yet. We will be, I've been assured by the provost and the head of the college, community college system that we will be on that list when it is happening.
That'd be fantastic.
That has not happened yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
I would like to encourage the tour. I went to one in Georgetown. It's extremely interesting to see it.
So, does anybody have a recommended date or a couple dates that I can give Dr. Tipton for us to come out, or
What about, that next court day after, right after the meeting?
does that work? We go out there right after court, and I can set it up right after court on the next scheduled.
Can we,
2 weeks.
we'd have to ensure that we're out at a certain time.
I can make it in an afternoon at a time that we should reasonably be.
We can make it 11 o'clock.
Oh, he's just trying to shut time off.
No, I will make it in an afternoon at a reasonable time to where it won't encumber the whole day.
Judge, I'd just like to say about that tour, Magistrate Short and I were very privileged to be given a tour by Dr. Tipton, what, a year and a half ago or longer when we went?
Probably 2 years ago.
And it was just extraordinary, even back then, before this new center had opened up. So that's going to be exciting.
Now, she's not back here, is she?
Yes, she's temporarily back there in charge.
Oh, okay.
But there is
I know she left.
a person coming on board to be more permanent, and she's just kind of holding the fort down for the university right now as we speak.
What a nice lady.
Very nice.
Gave a great tour.
Yeah, the tour will last about an hour, approximately an
Okay.
hour. So I'll give her some times at the next court date, and then we'll go there. I don't have anything. I appreciate the public's interest in making sure that the COVID information is out there, and we're moving forward. We'll do it by resolution. Y'all we'll email you a copy of the resolution going forward once it's drafted to encourage all residents, if they want to get the vaccination to feel better protected. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Please leave your binders with us so we can update them for the next court session.
And again, I'd like to make a comment about the binders. I don't know whose idea it was, but it's wonderful. Just leave them and come back and get them.
Yep.
Yeah, we're just gonna stack them right here in the window.
Because if you can't keep up with everything, all you gotta do is the tab.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor,
Mine's
signify by
filled in
saying
doing
aye.
decimals. Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We stand adjourned. Thank you.